For so long, I have wondered why I'm a highly sensitive person and an empath. And the more highly sensitives that I get to meet, I'm even more curious as to what is the higher perspective or deeper meaning of being a sensitive soul on the planet at this time. Here are my thoughts and insights, and I would love to know yours as well. Blessings. My name is Brenda Carey, and I'm a holistic healer for highly sensitive souls. Allow this time to be a sanctuary for you where you can soften, heal, and awaken to your inner wisdom. I am so grateful that you are here with me. I actually didn't find out that I was a highly sensitive person and later an empath until about my early to mid 30s. In hindsight, as a child, I was rather quiet, very observant, and took on other people's emotions, although I didn't really know it at the time. Fast forward to about my early 30s when I was having digestive issues. I went to see an acupuncturist. And during that initial visit, I explained to him all of the issues that I have with prescription medication, even herbal supplements, the unusual side effects that I would sometimes get, like skin rashes and headaches. And oftentimes I would need a child dose as compared to an adult dose. I was explaining to him about how I'm sensitive to chemicals and fragrances, especially on my skin, and how I could get easily overstimulated with really loud noises. And this was a pattern that had been going on since childhood. And he took all this information in. He also asked me a couple of questions, which I hadn't considered. He's like, well, are you sensitive to your emotions and other people's emotions? And that was like a definite yes. And he's like, can you like read a room really well when you first walk in, even though like no one's saying anything? And I'm like, oh yeah, definitely that. And as he's finished writing on his chart, at the very top, I noticed that he wrote the letters HSP in big letters and then like circled it. And I had never heard of that before. And so I was curious and I asked him, I'm like, what's the HSP on the top of my chart there? And he kind of chuckles and he's like, you are a classic case of a highly sensitive person. And I was kind of taken aback because I was like, that's a thing? I didn't even know that even existed and that there are other people like me. And he was like, yes, absolutely. And he gave me suggestions to read some books, some other resources. And he was the first person to really educate me on what being a highly sensitive person meant. So I'm curious, how did you find out about being a highly sensitive person and or an empath? Now, my story of learning that I was an empath was a little bit different. Initially, I definitely resonated with being a highly sensitive person. Interestingly enough, as I began to heal from a very chronic autoimmune digestive condition, I started realizing that one of my main triggers was when I would literally stomach other people's emotions. I had no idea I was actually doing this because I could not differentiate between what emotions were mine and what emotions were other people's at the time. And so I started learning about what it meant to be an empath. And although I don't love the analogy of empaths being a sponge where we take it all in, although there is some truth to that, once I learned to ask the question, and I'm saying to every empath out there, please ask yourself on a daily basis, is this mine? And once I began to ask that question, is this my emotion? Is this mine to take in? And I began to discern whether it was or not, my digestive issues slowly began to heal. And so that was my pathway for learning about being an empath. This also empowered me to learn different holistic healing tools, different energy healing tools, to strengthen these and look at them as gifts as opposed to something that needed to be fixed or overwhelming challenges that I would just have to suffer through the rest of my life. So I'm curious, what is your personal narrative about being either a highly sensitive person or an empath or possibly both? Like, what do you tell yourself about it? Because initially, I just thought it was something that I needed to somehow get over so that I could be like everyone else that I saw. And I've learned that actually being a sensitive soul on this planet at this time is necessary. It's so important and crucial because in a very hurting and chaotic world, we need modern day healers, shamans, spiritual leaders, creatives, outside of the box thinkers. And I think that's what sensitive souls naturally lend themselves to. We are designed to be deep feelers, deep thinkers, deep processors, so that we can be a light in sometimes what is a very dark world. So those are my insights on how I came to understand being a sensitive soul. And I'm curious, what are yours? And in future episodes, which I would highly suggest that you subscribe to my channel if you find this helpful, I'm going to be addressing different holistic tools and other insights that I have found helpful in my own ever-continuing healing journey as a highly sensitive person and an empath. Blessings on your healing journey.